Previously on KegLand.
I'm going to basically wait for this to cool down to room temperature, then we'll put it in a FermZilla and add our yeast. Alright guys and gals, so today's the day. We last brewed our beer, which was the Coastbusters, and we chucked it in a hot cube so we didn't have to worry about chilling. Now, it's actually been a couple of weeks in the cube. We haven't pitched it yet. One of the joys of hot cubing is it doesn't matter. It can live in the hot cube for pretty much as long as you like, which is great if you like brewing. It means you can always have a supply of wort ready to rock and roll. So we've got a Fermzilla Triconical 27 litre here. We've put a hop bong on it because we will want to be adding a dry hop to this, and it's been cleaned and it's filled with about 5 litres of Stellarsan sanitizer solution. Floating in the solution is our pill, which has been calibrated and is ready to go. So what we're going to do is just take the pill out, chuck that in our big jug down there. We will just tighten up the lid on this and essentially give it a bit of a shake. Make sure that every surface is coated with Stellarsan so that it is completely sanitized and we can pitch our wort. And obviously all the butterfly valves are open so that everything gets sanitized and it's ready to go. Next step is we tip out the sanitizer, which is why we've got one of our big jugs handy. These lids are super handy because they've got the little hook on them, so you can take them off and hook onto things quite nicely. Although in this case, it's just kind of going to sit there, which is because of the hop bong. Now we lift this up and tip it out. As you can see, there's a ton of foam left. It doesn't matter. Stellarsan is completely food safe. That makes no difference whatsoever to pitching. Do not fear the foam, basically. You just chuck your wort in. Next step, grab our cube. Looking good, looking very full, so this is going to be a little bit tricky. I like to give mine a bit of a spritz with ethanol, just because I'm a belt and braces sort of guy when it comes to sanitizing. And then you've got to go the glory. You pick it up, you pour it in. Do it in one motion, you won't spill a drop. You might spill a bit of a drop. Doing it this way kind of helps aerate it as well. Not nearly as good as blasting it with oxygen, but you know, every little helps. So what we've got is just one sachet of the Cellar Science Cali. Cali is a fantastic yeast. It's clean, it's fast, you'll get a little bit of yeast expression. It's a great yeast for all sorts of styles, but it's absolutely perfect for a West Coast IPA. Just gonna rip that open and chuck it in. And the one thing we don't want to forget is to put our pill in there. The pill is going to monitor our fermentation, but more than that, it's actually going to control the fermentation. I'll talk about that in a bit. The pill's floating in sanitizer, so it's sanitized. It's quite okay to reach in. Your hand will get sanitized. You can just do that, chuck it in. Now we close it up. Make sure you've got a dip tube attached to your liquid post. At KegLand, we use yellow to symbolize liquid and red for danger to symbolize gas. If you always do it that way, you always know which post is which, because if you stick your spunding valve on your liquid post, it's going to go very badly for you indeed. That's ready to rock and roll. All we need to do is stick it in our fermentation chamber. Right, so what we've done, I'll open this so you can see properly, is we've got our filled fermenter with yeast and a pill in it, and it's inside a RAPT chamber. A RAPT chamber is the best way to control fermentation temperature pretty much on the market. We've got a glass door installed on this one, which is actually not perfect for fermentation, but what we want to do is video the procedure, hence the glass door. What we're going to do, and this is quite important, is chuck a spunding valve on the fermenter. You can see you can actually plumb in your spunding valve and your inline regulator to add gas or vent gas. A lot of you won't have this sort of setup, but that's absolutely fine. You can use a cheap fridge and a RAPT temperature controller and get exactly the same sort of control and operation. And your FermZilla is gonna come with these guys, which will operate as an airlock or a spunding valve either way. What we're gonna do is just wind it all the way open. So that is turned until this is as loose as possible. That means there will be no pressure buildup in here. So it's not going to build up any pressure. Any pressure will just be vented straight away. So essentially it's operating as a one-way valve. Very good idea to give everything a little spritz with ethanol just to keep it all sanitary. And we're going to remember this goes on the red gas post, not the one with the dip tube on it. So this is sealed. Everything's in there. What we've got to do now is just set up our fermentation to run. So everything's ready to rock. We've got the pill bonded and set as the temperature sensor. We can see gravity, and you can see that that's the temperature of the liquid inside the fermenter at the moment. The built-in temperature is 3.5 because the fridge has been maintaining a temperature of 1. There are built-in controls to make sure you don't have a dramatic swing between the built-in temperature and the set point temperature. When you're using a Bluetooth bonded pill, that will happen kind of automatically. What we need to do now is just jump into profiles. So the profile's already been sent to this device, so we can start it directly on here instead of the app. It's the Owl Yeast Auto Profile. We're just gonna start profile now. We can see that is ready to rock and roll. It'll check for updates automatically. I don't think there are any. So we've now got a target temperature of 18 degrees. It's going to maintain 18 degrees for 3 days, and that will just allow the yeast to basically multiply and get fermentation well underway. After that, it's going to just start ramping up and then increase the rate it ramps up depending on the rate of change of gravity. So as the gravity velocity slows down, the temperature will go up, which is ideal for getting a fast and clean and healthy fermentation. So the profile is running. It's going to hold at 18 degrees for 3 days to let everything get well underway. After 3 days, you can see the next step in profile control. It is going to ramp up to 20 degrees and then wait until the gravity velocity starts slowing. When the gravity velocity is below 15 points a day, it'll go to the next step. And the next step's going to ramp up, and that'll keep happening until fermentation is done. When it's detected basically that fermentation is done, so gravity velocity is very, very low to 0, it'll just wait for an input on the device, and we say, hey, fermentation is done now. We can add our hops. We'll manually advance to the next step, and the next step will be cold crash. So let's recap. We've got our profile running, we've got our pill bonded, the pill's operating as the temperature sensor, got a spunding valve on there which is wide open, so there'll be no pressure build-up. Whether you want to build up pressure or not, you never want to add pressure or let pressure build up for the first 24 hours. That's when the yeast needs to multiply. And now basically we can go and have a beer and let the yeasties do their thing. All right guys, so as we've just seen, fermentation is done and dusted. One of the joys of using an automated profile is when gravity basically stables out, you can set an alert to ping you to have a look and check everything out. So we can see on the screen that gravity has been stable for long enough to check that everything is done. Visually, you can tell fermentation is done. We did pull a couple of samples just to make sure that gravity was completely stable over at least a day or two. And so now we're ready to dry hop. We're going to do that with the hop bong. So what we need to do, open the fridge, close the butterfly valve. We'll just pop this off. Remember that the hop bong was sanitized when we sanitized the whole fermenter before this. And for this recipe, it's a moderate amount of hops, 100 grams of Amarillo and 50 grams of Simcoe. So all we have to do is rip them open and pour them carefully into the hop bong, which will then purge with CO2 before we drop it in. So we have the smallest amount of oxygen ingress into the fermenter. Alrighty, so we've got all the hops in there. So now what we need to do is just purge all the oxygen in there. When we're using a RAPT chamber, we normally have it plumbed into gas. I've just got a gas bottle on the side for this one. So we're going to dial that up to about 20 PSI. It doesn't matter. Obviously you keep it under 35 PSI, which is what all of this is rated to. As ever, when you're putting fittings together, you want to keep it sanitary. So a little spurt of ethanol on the post and the disconnect. Then we can hook that up. You may or may not be able to hear the gas, but we're just going to give it a few purges, basically. All we want to do is just push out the O2, replace it with CO2. Probably don't even need as much as I'm doing, but you know, we've got a whole 2.6 kilos here, so we can go crazy. Alrighty, now What we're going to do is cold crash now. When you're dry hopping, generally it's done once fermentation is finished. Best practice, and what most of us do in the office, is dry hop. We'll do a soft crash to about 12 or 14 degrees and we'll dry hop for 24 hours. And then we'll do a full cold crash to 0, -1, whatever. In the interest of speed, I'm cheating a little bit today. So what I'm gonna do is drop the dry hops in there, and then we're just gonna start the cold crash straight away. The cold crash will start automatically as soon as I confirm this step. It's built into the profile. What's super important is before we start cold crashing is we add pressure to the fermenter. So we've got to take off the spinning valve and put some pressure in there. If we don't do that, it's a pressure capable vessel, it'll be sealed. So CO2 in the headspace will dissolve into solution and you'll get suck-in of the fermenter, which can go quite badly. So you always want to pressurize your fermenter when it's pressure capable before you cold crash to avoid that. So let's go. So what we're going to do now is sanitize and purge our keg ready to transfer the beer into it. So we get a clean and rinse keg and we fill it basically to the brim with water. What we do then is add our Stellar Sand to it. Stellar Sand, it's all on the packet. It's 1.5 mil per litre. So basically you can chuck 30 mils into your keg and you are good to go. Another really handy little trick when you're doing a hoppy beer particularly, grab some sodium metabisulfite. This you're using very small amounts, so about 0.3 of a gram per keg, and you can chuck it in with your sanitizer. And what this little guy will do is really help to scavenge the last bit of oxygen from the keg, so that when you push out the sanitizer, you're getting a really purged, sanitized keg ready to go. All right, so this is now filled with our sanitizer and metabisulfite solution. We turn it upside down for 60 seconds just to make sure that all the interior surfaces get sanitized. And then all we're going to do is push the sanitizer out with gas. The reason we do this is because if you just try and push out gas with gas, it's not super efficient. Pushing out liquid with gas means we're displacing a liquid with CO2, meaning we're getting rid of absolutely every bit of oxygen we can from our keg, and it's quick and it's easy. So we're just going to hook the gas up. More often than not, when I'm doing this at home, I'm transferring from one keg into another keg that's already empty. So I'll use a transfer line and I'll put a spunding valve on the new empty keg. But in this case, we're just going to push this straight out into the sink. And you can see, dead simple, pressure goes on one side, liquid comes out the other. It's quite easy and it's only going to take a couple of minutes. While we're waiting for this, if you want to take a belt and braces approach to this, it's a good idea to just push a little bit of sanitizer through your gas post as well. If you're using a bucket blaster or something, it's easy to clean both your posts. It's quite easy to forget to sanitize the gas posts. So what you can do is at the start of the transfer or at the end, doesn't really matter, just when you've got a little bit of sanitizer left in there, remove your gas line, just put a disconnect on your gas post, turn upside down or let whatever pressure is left in there just to push some sanitizer through the gas post, and then you've got a completely purged keg. We just got to wait for this to finish and then we'll be ready to transfer. All right, so what we've got is our keg, which has been completely purged of oxygen by pushing sanitizer out. That obviously leaves residual pressure in there, which is what you want. We were transferring or pushing out the sanitizer at about 15 psi. We don't want that much pressure in there. We want it 2, 3, 4, 5 psi. So we're going to use our spunding valve. Now, the way you set a spunding valve is super analog. Basically, you can't dial it up to the number you want. It just doesn't work like that. The best way to do it is to turn the dial clockwise so it's wound in, and then put it on something with pressure in it. What happens then is it's not going to let any pressure out, and it's just going to show you how much pressure is in there. We've got about 8 psi, something like that. So we're just going to wind this out until it starts venting, spunding. There we go, you can hear that. And we're just going to keep going until it gets to where we want it. Around 5 psi, a little bit lower is fine. You just need a little bit of pressure in there. And there we go, so we're venting at 5 psi. Just turn it back a little bit. And that's it, that is set. So this is going to maintain that pressure inside the keg no matter how much pressure we try to add. It's dead simple, super reliable. Nothing can go wrong with these. If they do, you just take this apart and clean out the diaphragm. And we're going to leave that on there. It's set and ready to go for our transfer. Okay, so we've got our keg, which we've got the spunny valve on, which is venting at 5 psi. We've got our gas bottle here. Regulator is set to 15-ish psi. It actually doesn't really matter what it's set to. I normally leave mine at 10 to 12 and don't ever change it. So we're going to hook the gas bottle up to the gas post of our fermenter. We'll hook our transfer line from the liquid post of the fermenter to the liquid post of the keg. Then all we need to do is keep an eye on it as the liquid level will rise in air and fall in here. You do want some way to detect when the keg is all but full, so that if necessary you can shut things off manually and you don't shoot delicious beer through your spunny valve, which is something that's happened to all of us. My go-to for this is to use our scales. They're 40 kilo scales. They will measure the weight as it changes, so you can just keep an eye on it. When you're up to about 18.5 kilos, you can just pull off the spunny valve, and then as soon as the liquid hits the gas line of the gas post, it will stop automatically. What we do have here is our RAPT laser level sensor, which will be released in the not too distant future. Now, this little guy's super cool. It has basically a live view mode, so you can pull out your phone, open the RAPT Brew app, and actually watch in real time using the laser sensor what the actual level in your keg is. It's probably a bit high tech just to use for transfers, but if you've already got one of these, it's super helpful for it. Now, the transfer line you also want to purge. So normally when we're sanitizing and purging a keg, we use a transfer line to push from one keg to the other. That will also sanitize and purge your line as well. So now all we have got to do is hook it up. Always give your fittings a little bit of a spritz before you connect them. Just turn that up a teensy bit. 10-ish psi going in there. I'll just pop that on there and turn on the scales, which will also tear them when we do it. So that's reading 0. About 18.5 kilos is normally when I stop filling. That way there's no possibility of shooting anything through the gas line. Now we're just going to hook it up and watch the magic happen. Just while we're waiting for the beer to transfer, we'll show you a little pro tip. Not really a pro tip, but something you've got to remember. If you're using a bonded pill as your temperature sensor, it's a very good idea while you're transferring to pop into settings and jump into temperature control and change this back to the built-in probe. If you don't do that, your pill will still be used as the temperature sensor for your fermenter, and it's quite likely going to go up to room temperature quite quickly, and you'll get a very, very cold RAPT chamber indeed. All right, so we are nearly there. I haven't touched this in any way. Once you set it all up, it just keeps rolling. It's simple, it's oxygen-free, it's far and away the best way to transfer beer from a fermenter into a keg. We can see we're very, very nearly done. We've got about 18.3 kilos in there. We've still got quite a bit of beer in there, so we're definitely going to blow some through here if we don't stop it. So I'm just going to pull off the spunny valve. So basically pressures can't equalize now, and the gas post is closed. So when that liquid line hits the gas dip tube, it's just going to stop automatically, and we've got a keg that is full to the very brim. To be honest, if I get it that full, what I would do is be very careful to just pour off a glass or two, probably sample it, before I hook it up, just to make sure I don't accidentally blow beer through the gas line and stuff up the diaphragm of my regulator. But that has come to a stop. We've got 18.88 kilos of delicious West Coast Coastbusters IPA in there. All that's left now is cleaning up and then probably having a beer. Thanks very much.